We must learn to live together as brothers or perish together as fools. Martin Luther King, Jr. The countdown is on to the rescheduled March 28 presidential election. Thank you for joining us again on Call Digest. Don't forget that you can reach us on our Twitter handle at Call Digest Live, where we can also get all of your comments on the ongoing discussion on the show today. We'll also open the phone lines when we do endeavor to turn down the volume of your TV set so we can have a crystal clear communication. I'm joined now by PRESIDOR Gomora. He's a public affairs analyst joining us today on the show. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
And thank you for finding time to join us. BIODUN SOWUNMI is here with us. Thank you for staying the course on the show today. Let me bring you in quickly, PRESIDOR. The Deputy Governor of Rivers State decamped to the PDP. Many are of the opinion that it further buttresses the fact that there is not much difference between PDP and APC if someone can still defect just 6 days to the general election.
It's the beauty of democracy. We all have our perceptions about happiness. But when you say not much difference between the APC and the PDP, I think so much difference. You cannot compare. I'm not a PDP man, nor APC. I'm a typical Nigerian, a concerned Nigerian. I must be frank. If you are familiar with me in the social network, I give the APC a particular tag. I call them, it's unfortunate, but that's the truth. I call them propagandists. It's all much about falsehood. I'm sorry. That's the truth. And they hit the polity unnecessarily. PDP is not better off, though, because we've seen them in their campaigns. It's all about dancing, sermons from the Bible, which they don't practice. The common people, me, I don't know if you're common, we are I don't know my brother here, and I don't know. We are the victims of the circumstances.
But have you thought about it that if
all politicians are not all going well for the masses, but for their various individuals?
If elections held on February 14, Tele Okoro would have participated in the general election as a member of the APC.
So what happened just now?
That's what I'm asking you.
It tells you he is now coming to reality. Anybody who look at the politics in Rivers State and talk about the governor really shocking a lot of us, except we don't remember what happened when the primaries of the PDP was done and we were told by the former president there is a small K-leg in the primaries. Okay. So Amici had to hold on. And then the aftermath was the emergence of Mayor.
Okay.
If we are familiar with the politics in the Rivers State, it's not about it, it's about persons and how much have I been able to take away from the kitty. Simple.
All right, let me quickly come to you. We were talking about the role of ethnic bias here. You know, at the center of one of the reasons why he defected is that he talked about how the people of Rivers have supported other parts of the nation to become leaders for the past 48 years. I don't know where he got his historical calculation from, but he's also saying that it wouldn't be part of this treasury not to allow someone from the Niger Delta have a second term in office. What's the relevance of ethnicity at this time to political leadership?
Yeah, it's basically expressing geopolitical interests of Rivers State, you know, being part of the South-South and saying, look, on balance, as far as he's concerned, the Rivers people have always been supporting other people from other nationality, and this is the first time when somebody from the Niger Delta will be the president of the country and seeking, you know, another term. So that is what it's saying. It's basically not appealing to reasoning. It's appealing to logic of the perverse political situation in the country, where it is not the character or it is not the merit of the aspirant that matters. It's about where you come from. PRESIDOR has made a very important point about the nature of politics in Rivers State. It's too personalized, and people tend to look at things in terms of, if you are Kalabari, then you want to vote for a Kalabari aspirant. If you are Ikwere, you want to vote for Ikwere's aspirant. The politicians are also not helping in the matters. Go and read every single statements made by politicians, from Rivers State. It's always about their people, the ethnic group, where they're from, and the position they're seeking. So, like I said earlier on, it's about people thinking or presenting the situation, to the ordinary people, to say, look, your interest lies in me because I'm from your ethnic group, and therefore you have to vote for me. And that's the nature of politics in Rivers. And I'll be surprised. I mean, if you look at the primaries, even APC primary, you remember that the Ogoni people, raise an eyebrow about the Akuku Peter side, thinking should have come from their own side. It's simply because of the nature of politics in Rivers State. Overall, it does not have any bearing, because at the end of the day, it's a game of numbers. It's a game of people will think like that. Okay, people will think because of patience. It's inevitable. Equally, people will think because of Amechi. That's Rivers. And at the end of the day, it comes down to the game of numbers. Whoever can get the numbers will be the winner at the end of the day. But the emotional aspect of it is very, very strong, which is the fact that Jonathan is from Niger Delta, which they are playing up now. So that is very, very strong. It will play up in the minds of some people, no doubt about it.
PRESIDOR, how far away are we as Nigerians from detribalized politics? A situation whereby it doesn't really matter where you come from or what part of the country, as long as you have the capacity to lead, then come on, you should get a chance.
That's what is playing out now.
How do you mean?
My brother Rose. He cited an instance of Mr. President comes from the South, and we all know that that part of the country has not been there before. And we are thinking, it's not that, it's not even politics again. It's natural that we should support our son, because we had people who call themselves born to rule. We have seen people out of 54 years who had ruled us for 38 years, and they treated us like third class, fourth class citizen. I was here on studio. Somebody called in from Abuja and said, we all know where good luck was in Bayelsa. And it was picked up, assuming or trying to paint the picture that people from that part of the country are second or third class citizens of this nation. No, we are all equal citizens. And if the particular group believes that they are born to rule, and they share and they hold tenaciously to the leadership of this country, just by chance. And we are now getting to see even the picture that when we had General Obasanjo as president, it wasn't that it was their intention. They saw that Nigerians became conscious of June 12th. And the only way they could deceive us was to bring out somebody from the Southwest, whom we actually is our own crony. I'm sorry to say, but that's the truth. We worked for him, but we saw the pictures. Today, I could travel from Lagos to my village in less than 7 hours. But either to now, we do it.
Where's your village?
Patani.
Because I traveled also from Lagos to just Oshogbo over the weekend.
Yes.
And my brother, I
True.
spent
But
close to 12
that
hours
is the
on
beauty
that
of Nigeria,
particular
the
road.
beauty. You see, when you have some...
Because I really wonder where that, that hype for the Lagos about the express road is coming from. That road is terrible.
That's the beauty. That sometimes when your own person was there, you talk about Lagos, Oshogbo, you forgot that there's another road that should have been road. We had coastal road that would have led from Lagos to the creeks without going through Ibeni, Ore, and the rest. Those roads have been forgotten. Those are programs on ground. But when you only have people from your place, that's why the East-West road, except we don't want to be honest. And all about Nigeria is trying to be honest. If you're honest, we never had that good in the South-South. The East-West road is going on. I wonder when I see the governor of Rivers State, age-wise at least, I am older than him. I'm above 60. I wonder when he keeps talking about nothing in Rivers State. Today, the Mbiama, is Mbiama not part of Rivers State? To Port Harcourt, we never had it that good. Let's be honest. You can't get it all, but let us appreciate some little things that are coming our way.
Let me open the phone lines and find out what the pulse of the viewers are on the show this morning. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
What's your name and where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Mushi. My name is Wale Akintoki.
Wale, please go ahead with your contribution.
The issue of tribalism is too much eating up the Nigerian policy. I think the man speaking there is a bit too tribalistic. You know, when we at this age, at this our age in Nigeria, we are not supposed to be talking about being tribalistic. We have to speak the truth about what is going on in Nigeria. Nigeria is a place whereby all hands must be on deck to want to speak the truth, and so that this nation can become better for every one of us. It's like we are drifting backwards. The old man there speaking. He's speaking as if it's more tribalistic, and it's not helping the issue in Nigeria. It's not helping the issue. It's not the issue we are.
It's all right, Wale. Thank you very much for your contribution from Moshe in Lagos. At one hand,
can I react?
Just a minute, sir. I'll be back with you. Just hold your 30 for a minute. At one hand, some are saying that we need to detribalize political leadership. But at the other hand, do we now allow a particular part of the country to go ahead, you know, at a point they even said they were born to rule, just according to PRESIDOR. How do we balance and bridge this gap?
Look, to be honest, it depends on who you are talking to in this country. Like what PRESIDOR said about some people saying they are born to rule. But there are other people that will tell you that they were better off under those people they are referring to, because
Thank you.
I didn't want to mention. Yeah, when you look at the Yorubas, for instance, if you look at look, Jonathan couldn't have been the president of Nigeria without the votes from Southwest. Yes. Yeah, he played the games with the Yorubas, but the moment he got there, he ditched them. You know, and yeah, the highest Yoruba person today is number 13 or 14 on the hierarchy. I'm coming. That is not, look, when you say who would have been the speaker, yes, some people have said that okay, after all, it was, I'm coming. The opposition did their own job by not voting for PDP candidate to be the speaker. Now, don't forget one thing. It is not the business of opposition to help the PDP to elect a speaker. Now, that would have been the number 4 person in hierarchy. What happened to number 5? Was it the opposition again? Number 6. Opposition? Number 7. Was it Tinubu? Number 8. Ooh, number 9. Number 10. Number 11. Number 12. Number 13. Is Ambassador Otunla. Ambassador, what's his name? The current Accountant General of the Federation is the highest. Not even under the Hausa Fulani oligarchy. That even the Southwest has been treated like that. In that case, no, I have not finished that. Out of 67 appointments, you know, chairmen appointed under Jonathan's regime, 67, only 8 are from Southwest. Only 8 out of 67 parastatals, you know, chairman. I have not finished with you. Not only that, when you now look at the distribution of the offices, apart from, look at the ministerial, apart from the Minister of Agri, only 2 ministries, Adeshion, the Minister of Police Affairs, and Agri. Name any other ministry. Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Name any other major ministry. What happens to works? What happens to finance? Let me ask you, who is the Minister of Finance? Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. Yes. Who is the Governor of Central Bank? Who is totally in control of the economy? Who acts the budget office?
We're not
I'm asking. No. You know, you brought the issue. Since you introduced that issue. Look, I'm trying. Look, PRESIDOR. You know, one thing we need to do is let us move away from ethnic politics. Because every single ethnic group, that's what I'm saying. Every single ethnic group would have one thing or the other to say. That's where I'm saying. I'm not a spokesperson for the Yoruba people.
Who played it first?
No, PRESIDOR.
Just a minute, gentlemen.
We need.
Yes. Have we been able to identify, you know, a practical impact of development? You know, have we been able to trace it down to this ethnic appointments that we're talking about? For instance, we were talking about participation of women in politics, and then the Jonathan administration prided itself as that administration that has given 35% affirmative action, so to speak. And the question I asked, you know, one of the guests was, as the average Nigerian woman, the rural woman, how has that particular individual benefited from all of these, you know, gender appointments that we're talking about? I'm relating it to ethnic affiliation.
A journey of 100 kilometers starts from West Step. In the first instance, we're now seeing it clearly that women are being given the fair share. And it's the beginning of new things to come. You don't expect Eldorado immediately. It's a step in the right direction. Before now, we know it. We all know it. Our women are confined to. Even some of the aspirants today, we know the records. Their wives are kitchen women.
But what I'm really trying to say is that if we have a Senate president who is Yoruba, is he a Senate president for the Yoruba race or a Senate president for the whole Nigeria?
That is calculation now that the Yorubas have not been given or carried along. But who are the determining factors? Let's be honest. There's a system where you play some kind of game. You may not see my picture or my face, but the people at the back at the drawing board are typical Yorubas. If you look at the two parties, the key party, we have over 7 or 11, but the two opposing parties are APC, PDP. Who are the spokespersons?
Just a minute, sir. Let me take this call. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, this is John from Lagos.
What's your name, sir?
John from Lagos.
John from Lagos. Please go ahead with your contribution.
Please tell that PRESIDOR, please let him stop interrupting the other person if he's talking, because the other person is not interrupting him and he cannot allow him to talk, to contribute his own. But while he was speaking, nobody is interrupting him. And he's talking about the tribalized, and him too is tribalized in his statement. So what is he saying? Please let him conduct himself very well in the public television so that other person too can contribute.
It's all right, John. Thank you very much for your contribution, but I'm not sure that, BIODUN show is complaining about that. Are you complaining?
No. PRESIDOR is my friend and
it's
brother.
All right. Please go ahead with the contribution, PRESIDOR.
You see, sometimes we give ourselves out. Some of us may not be able to stand this kind of challenge. Just calling and just... I lost touch. Because I mean, I am a human being. I'm not a spirit.
I understand. Okay, let us bring all of this back.
I'm not paid to do this. I come out to volunteer to talk on national issues. I have my own rights. That's the beauty of democracy. You have my rights.
I understand.
Tribalism did not come from the South first. People who appreciate the fact that we were actually being neglected, marginalized. It's a funny country where people all use it as an instrument. And this dispensation in '99, that was the key thing. We must address Niger Delta. We must address Niger Delta. And it's not really addressed even. But people are saying we are there. Even one big problem we have is the tenure. President Goodluck Jonathan came in May 6, 2010, when Yar'Adua died May 5th. We all know President Obasanjo, former president, told us Goodluck would not even approve a project of 5 million as a vice president. He was not even a member of any strong contract committee. Now, if he comes in May 6, 2010 to today, 2015, it's not yet 5 years. But you see in the social network, in the public domain, Goodluck has been in power for 6 years. So we keep asking questions, when and when? You see, it tells you, people from a particular group, they believe that people from the South should be seen to be subservient to other parts of the country. No, we are equals. We are equal stakeholders. So if today you have a president, how many Southerners you have in the presidency? If the Yorubas are claiming that they have been so changed or marginal, how many South, apart from Mr. President, mention any other key office held by somebody from the South? None. None. We are here. So apart from Mr. President, are you talking about advisors or even ministers? You're dominated by the Northerners. I lie?
Who appointed them?
No, but you have the National Assembly that passed.
PRESIDOR, that's the point. Yes. Who appointed them?
So we must live as one.
Mr. President is responsible for all appointments. That is why when people try to blame the opposition, ACN then, now APC, for the Mulikat, this woman from Ibadan, not emerging as the speaker, I don't accept it, because why do you, if you know the opposition won't support you, why are you pushing a candidate, for that position? Why not make the ones you have direct control over appointments, Minister of Finance, Minister of Works, or something else to compensate? That didn't happen. That's the issue. There is also this aspect which people are forgetting. It's the selective way in which this thing is being done and was done under Jonathan that brought so many emotions out, and I was so glad you brought it. I never wanted to speak in that tone. Out of 47 general managers and AGMs that were retired compulsorily under Jonathan, 40 are Yorubas. So there's something wrong. That's what I'm saying. Including go to Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, Nigerian Airports Authority, go and count. When you start counting, you'll be shocked and say, even maybe they did it on merit, but there's something wrong somewhere. You know, if particularly it's just one particular ethnic group that is being weeded out of power, and then they're not the highest post. It has never happened to any ethnic group in Nigeria, not even the South-South, that the highest person will be number 30 in hierarchy. Not to talk of Southwest that actually helped, supported the president. So this is the major issue, you know, but let us move away from this ethnic aspect. It doesn't take us to anywhere. Let's look at the issue of performance. Has Mr. President performed or not? That should be the issue in the minds of so many people.
Let me just quickly bring this caller in. Hello, good morning. Good morning, welcome to Call Digest. What's your name? Anyone there? Okay, keep trying. When you call in and able to turn down the volume of your TV set so we can hear you clearly. Good morning, what's your name?
My name is Dr. Steve. I'm calling from Port Harcourt.
Dr. Steve from Port Harcourt. Please go ahead with your contribution.
Okay, I want to correct that man, not the PRESIDOR, the second one.
Okay.
He has been a tribal person. And I know the reason why he's always attacking Jonathan, either in the Silver television, Chinese television, and all the TV stations he's invited. How can he say that the Yorubas were not carried along in this political dispensation? Which political arena do we have? A platform that will not have tribal sentiment. Let's take a look. In 1979, the UPN was only in the West, not in the East, not in the North. All the parties are like that. So you can't just be talking like that. Is it Jonathan that will bring people from the West to the appointed? Or is it the Westerners, people in the Midwest, or the Yorubas, that will nominate somebody for Jonathan to consider? Who is he going to consider? How many people does Jonathan know? I'm from the South. Jonathan don't know my father. He doesn't know me. How can I now go? I'm asking to nominate me. It's somebody that will push me. When you are voting, even when Bankole was contesting, who voted Bankole out? Is it Jonathan administration? Is it the Southerners? And then people think that they are born to rule. Why should they be born to rule? Talking about the coup you are talking about, I've been following you since. Talking about the coup. The coup has been an obedient person to Amechi administration. He has done his best. If you now discover that these people are not doing what they thought they will do, what we believe in them, and he has to pull out, why are we quarreling? He has the right to move. Amechi was moving out. Did he consult the group that I want to pull? I want to pull out to APC. He didn't do that. He just came back. You don't force people to follow you. That's what we should know. Jonathan is not forcing anybody to follow him. And so nobody should crucify him for what he has done or what he has not done.
It's all right, Dr. Steve.
Which government in this country has done better? Even Obasanjo administration, what did he do? I want part of Obasanjo administration because of a phone, nothing more than that. What did he do? What did he do? Then what did Babangida do? Buhari, what did they do? See, let's be fair to one another. Tribal this cannot stop in this country because even in 1979, it has been there. Before 1960, look at Tafawa Balewa declaration about the North. Look at it. Look at that. Why do you have a Mona in Lagos? I grew up in Lagos. I know what it means to be a non-Yoruba working among Yoruba people in Lagos.
It's all right, Steve. I'm afraid that's how much time we can, give to you to contribute. Thank you very much for your contribution from Port Harcourt.
Will you permit me just to respond briefly?
Please go ahead.
What Steve does not understand is I started attacking or criticizing Jonathan not simply because I don't like him or anything. It's something, or because I'm a Yoruba man. No, nothing to do with that. What people need to know is that some of us stood up to be counted when the struggle in Niger Delta was going on. Myself and some few others decided to support the struggles of the Niger Delta people, not because we didn't realize that we're Yoruba people. We know quite all right. When it was time for Jonathan to be made acting president, we went to Abuja. I was part of SNG leadership. We arranged and we went there to mobilize for him. Then, after that, Jonathan in government, when a president is saying stealing is not corruption, you know, to the whole world, for me, I will get worried about that. Of course, I was concerned about security, which I will admit is now doing something, you know, trying to do something on, you know, late in the day. But there are other issues, you know, which make people to worry. For instance, why would anybody want, you know, be flirting with a Mohamed Abacha, you know, flirting, you know, with Omishore to be the governor of Osun State, you know, someone like Ayo Fayose, you know, in Ekiti, you know, talking about somebody who is indicted for drug, you know, to lord it over us in Ogun State. These are the real issues, you know, that people are concerned and say, hang on a minute, this is not the kind of democracy we want. These are not the type of leaders we want. And anybody trying to foist, you know, criminal leadership, a gang of, you know, gangsters, you know, on the people, you're bound to incur the wrath of those who think they have a right and a duty to speak out. This is the real issue, not about Jonathan as a person, not about Jonathan because he's from South. It's about what Jonathan is doing, you know, that is having an impact, negative impact on other people.
This administration claims to fight corruption headlong, but there seem to be divided opinions among Nigerians about how it does it at the level of corruption, you know, in the country during this tenure.
I don't know, but I think we still have to look at the angle where we're coming from. The same thing, sentiments, primordial sentiments. When you fight corruption, you carry people, show them on telly and cop them. We know of an ex-IG who was being dragged on the ground, he was shouting. These are the kind of the way you fight corruption. But we see results now. They're telling us figures, they're telling us facts. EFCC is giving us images of what they've been doing, both the private and the public sector. I don't think, you see, one funny thing about corruption, yesterday or so, I had somebody saying it's embedded in our system. When I hear people talk corruption, you usually ask yourself, it's like the Max Romeo, they say it's Bob Marley, but I think it's Max Romeo, they said, everybody's talking about crime. I begin to wonder who actually are the criminals. Today, if we sit down, we want to be honest, we check out those who shout corruption, we want to, at times you find out that they are the most corrupt people. They've embezzled our money. Where they get the funds they are using today. It's a common man that I said it before. They use us. They got me and him now, we are looking at the issue. And when things come good, we're not there. We've known each other for years.
Let's turn our attention very quickly back to Rivers State before we touch on some other issues. It's interesting when, you know, the opposition is strong. It's interesting for politics. But on the other side, we're also talking about the volatility, you know, the security implication. For instance, in Rivers, we saw what happened at Okrika. How do you know, justify this interesting opposition in politics with the security expectation, especially for this rescheduled election?
Yeah, it's quite unfortunate that the Nigerian police force have not been able to rise up to the occasion because if you say talks, all the political parties have talks. Talks are not hired by political parties, they are hired by politicians. That is the truth of the matter. And it's quite very unfortunate. But when people commit crime, the essence, you know, the duty of the Nigerian police force is to arrest and investigate and arraign people in court. That is not happening because that is the only deterrent. When you know if you commit a crime, you will get arrested. It does not matter which party you belong to. And then you will be processed through the criminal justice system. You will realize that people will be more careful. They will tend to move away from it. But, you know, it's sad. In Rivers State, even a police officer, I think, is it one or two, you know, was killed in that incident in Okrika. And the police felt helpless at people shooting into the air. That should never have been tolerated. It does not matter which party or they are supporting or not. You know, it should never, Nigerians must not live or work or organize themselves, you know, in an atmosphere where there's intimidation or violence.
Just a minute, sir. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I am terrific. What's your name and where are you calling from?
I'm Yusuf from Kano.
Yusuf from Kano, please go ahead with your contribution.
Yes, please. Please, I wanted to talk about three things. One, about the first person who spoke about there are people who are destined to rule Nigeria, which is wrong, and he is now quoting the House of Fulani has ruled Nigeria for over 38 years. So let me point out clearly that the military regime is not a regime that can be counted because it's not a democratic rule. So let you understand that. And in a military setting, everybody is entitled to go and execute a coup. It is unheaded. If he succeeds, he can rule. And if he fails to face the parents' court, everybody knows that. And there are Niger Deltans in the military. There are every other tribe in the military. So let us take note of that. So let him be counting a political government when it comes to talking how many years somebody from so part of Nigeria has ruled Nigeria. And another issue is that now somebody contributed and said that Erdogan has not done anything. Who initiated the Niger Delta amnesty? You know what Erdogan? All these things that they are talking Jonathan has done. Let me take the railway. It was during Erdogan who was so serious about the railway issue, and he initiated it. So if Jonathan has come and finished it, that's a trust for Jonathan for completing the work his predecessor has started or has commenced. Then another issue is that this tribal issue is not going to carry Nigerians anywhere. Let us always talk as far as a good Nigerian, because the issue is who governs Nigeria. It does not matter if there is justice in whatever somebody is doing. It doesn't matter from wherever he comes. Let me cite an example. Gowon is from the north. He was a Christian. During his rule, nobody was told of Nigeria is ruled by a Christian or is ruled by somebody from the north. Because everybody is getting what he's supposed to get. So it doesn't matter. So please let us remove tribal sentiments when it comes to talking about Nigeria. Please.
Thank you very much, Yusuf, for your contribution from Kano, okay? We're going to take a break from tribal, separate for a while. But are you comfortable with the level of prosecution of electoral offenders, especially with what we've seen, at the days preceding this rescheduled election?
Not comfortable. That we can put at the doorstep of the judiciary and the National Assembly too. They make the laws, and how effective these laws are being put on ground. Actually, the executive too has their own role, but I think we have cases. I cited the case of a girl that was through social media network. She was invited from a particular part of the north to Festac town, and finally she ended up being, killed by. That case is still hanging on. These are glaring cases that tells you our various sections of governance had problems. The judiciary and the legislative as well as the executive. We like the last caller said, I think it spoke my mind, but we started with people trying to hit back at us. And when you are in the boxing ring, they give you a punch. No matter what you see, you first put up your guard and defend.
But some will say that's also one of the weaknesses of the Jonathan administration. The fact that the Nigerian police hasn't been at the top of their game.
I don't know, but I take a case from Rivers State. You see, sometimes leadership begins what you have the followership.
No one has been prosecuted yet from the Africa
incident. You see the case of Rivers State. We had a former commissioner of police dead, now AIG in Lagos. And we know the problem he had with the governor of Rivers State. Now he's having the same problem again with the now commissioner there in Lagos, Rivers State. And if you look at the utterances, I'm not a leader, I'm a follower. But look at the posture for some of our leaders. I don't want to compare, but look at Governor Fashola in any public forum. You see he's comported. And he watch his words. Mind your language used to be a program we watch on TV when we were young. But watch the governor of Rivers. I'm not condemning, but it's truth. If we lose, we'll form You even see the posture, you know that there's something missing, and that's what is hitting up. If the governor himself had that kind of clear attitude, what do you expect the followers to do?
Talking about the role of the police, MCR, let's quickly get an upstand from the IGP. And now this particular statement is becoming quite controversial, where he talked about how voters should conduct themselves at the polling units. And this was at a program held with certain accredited election observers. The IGP actually says that after voting, people should cool down. Let's find out what he said in this clip, and we'll be back with him.
This idea of cast your vote and remain, it is advisable cast your vote and go and cool down. And I have reasons for it. The main reason is that if you look at the provisions of Section 129 of the Electoral Act, if you remain, there is likelihood you will commit an offense.
All right, gentlemen, cast your vote and go and cool down. On the contrary, there are reported opinions that INEC chairman is of the opinion that people can vote and still stay around till the votes are counted. As a matter of fact, politicians say, do not only vote, vote and defend your vote. And the definition of defending one's vote has always been ensure that you are there when those votes are counted. What are your thoughts along this line?
We are in a strange policing times. Some of the things happening in this country and being uttered by the Nigerian police force, would, in some other clime, will call for psychiatric re-evaluation of people's ability to continue to do their job. Before going to the IGP, we have an AIG who is in Lagos, here, who said that if one policeman is killed, that's Mbu. AIG Mbu from River State, who fought Amici to his standstill in River State, who came to Lagos and said, look, he went to Ogun on a visit, AIG Zone 2, and said, if one policeman is killed, they will kill 20 civilians in return. It's quite shocking that could come from a leadership, of the Nigerian police force. Now you have the IGP, who is a lawyer, who knew quite all right that he is not INEC. He's not the chairman of INEC, and he's not an INEC commissioner, and that INEC will guide the conduct, and we have electoral law that guides the conduct of elections. So it is not for him to tell people to go when INEC issued a guideline that, look, you can stay so that people can count the vote. We know what normally happens when people are dispersed. Some people talk to the march, with guns and carry those ballot boxes. That has always been what has been going on since 1960-something. So for once, people are now breaking that, and we've seen the example in Ekiti and Osun, where people waited, the results were counted, and that was it. There was no single violence. So why not emulate that? Why would IGP Suleiman Harder wants us to go back, to the era when people can snatch ballot boxes? Whose script is he hatching? This is the real worry. But I'm very pleased that INEC has restated clearly that people are allowed to wait. Just compose yourself, wait around and let people count the votes in your presence so that your vote counts before going.
PRESIDOR, many are citing the unpleasant precedents of what transpired at the House of Representatives, where the police allegedly tear-gassed certain lawmakers. You also hear the IGP citing some section of the Constitution to back up his claims. What are your thoughts along this line?
Yes, you see, in that aspect, I must be frank, we tend to, it's unfortunate when people in government positions or high positions make mistakes. You see, nobody is perfect.
You're saying the IGP made a mistake by saying
my own perception, and that is mean what we are all carrying up and down, but we all know, our little ways we make our errors.
Just a minute, sir. Let's take this call. Hello, good morning.
Hello, can I be connected to the program, please?
You're on. What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Joe. I'm calling away from Port Harcourt.
Your name is what, Joe?
Joe, calling from Port Harcourt.
All right, go ahead with your contribution, Joe.
Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Go ahead, Joe.
Yes. I'm calling in response to what you just said. Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead with your contribution.
Okay. I'm calling a response of the program that is on now. Concerning the IGP, what the IGP said, and that was the INEC chairman.
Okay.
For me, I think I might not be a security expert, but from what the IGP has said, I read at section 129, I think we're trying to be fair, because I know not normally as a human, the way you count your votes, what you need to do is to stay around. But I think with the situation in country now, with the policy has been heated up, it is only wise for people to cast their vote and stay away from the premises. The reason is that I know the dimension for every electric poll is about 50 by 50. That's 50 meters from each poll. So if they are saying the electoral compromise that you stay off from the polling units about 300 meters, you agree with me that you are not going to see the electoral units where the elections have been made. So it is only wise for us to go back. Since each party has their own agents and those that are representing the parties. Because with the tension in the country, I feel strongly that there will be crisis. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your contribution, Joe, from Port Harcourt.
Everybody has their own interpretation. That's we must appreciate each other. You can't be perfect. I make my mistakes. Correct me. The only thing is when you are corrected, take it in good faith and follow to us. But you see, because of our interests and these primordial sentiments is still there, must go. Nigeria can break.
Let's take a short break, and we'll be back with more. Don't forget, you can call on the show when you call in. Turn down the volume of your TV set so we can hear you quite well. You can also reach us on Twitter and at Core Digest Live. We'll take a break and we'll be back with more. Don't go away.
Morning, sir. How are you, Mr. President? How are you, sir? How is the campaign?
We must learn to live together as brothers, or perish together as fools. Martin Luther King, Jr.
The army was not supposed to be visible or to be around any polling unit unless there is a breakdown of law and order and they have been invited by the Inspector General of Police.
That elections are sheltered in Africa is no news. But in Nigeria, it comes with consequences.
Against the will of one man.
Consequences that have toggled the nation's politics and may shape how Nigeria elects.
This is the year of PGP.
The momentum gathers.
When we promise, we deliver.
The fireworks is unending.
We did it and continue to do it.
55 years this year, and in her fourth republic, this is Nigeria's 5th general elections. All the action, all the news, the updates, and the news behind the news we will bring to you live from the field and in the studio on Core TV News as Nigeria elects.
We can't wait to bring you live reportage of the 2015 rescheduled elections all across the 36 states of the Federation. Our reporters will be on ground and we'll bring you the views, the news, and no doubt the analysis of stories right here from our studios in Lagos. If you watch it out for the election, Channel 329 of Star Times is where to be on election day. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for staying the course on the show today. We would have agreed that the IDP made a mistake if not for the president. You recall that he was asked to, he could not even call the Speaker of the House of Reps. He could not refer to him as Mr. Speaker during the House of Reps saga. Would you say that the leadership of the Nigerian police has to tread cautiously at this time?
Not only the police force, all of us have to tread cautiously, all of us. The police are human beings. I have a case. The police, the way we are publicly pommeling the police may not all go well, because they are supposed to be law enforcing agents, and they cannot be perfect. We pray at least they get to be doing very good line. It's unfortunate it happened. It does not mean we have to now put all of them down. The truth. We all saw it, an embarrassment. First thing a police officer would have done was to call, and then at the same time, you expect that the speaker to with his paraphernalia would have called the high authorities to find out what was happening. And in that case, it was an excitement neurosis that affected all of them. Like I said earlier in my beginning, the masses, we are we are one suffering from all this. And
I think the challenge has really been about the confidence of the Nigerians, on the enforcement agencies, the independence of the police, for instance. Many see them as, people who are at the beck and call of the executive. If you take, for instance, what Joe said from Port Harcourt, if there are party agents there, why do electorate really, have to be around, if not for some, lack of confidence here and there?
Yeah, what Joe said, it's true that why is because people don't have confidence in the system. Why is it that people don't have confidence? Since 1960, we've always been witnessing people coming to snatch ballot boxes. Not until recently, when the campaign was on that people should stand and wait. If you remember from Ekiti election, wait and let them count it. Conduct yourself peacefully. And from available records and evidence that we have so far, in the last 2 elections held, Ekiti and Osun, people waited patiently. They allowed them to count. Nobody was able to steal a single ballot box. The reverse will have been the case. Now, if you say people should go home, and they go home, and the result becomes something else, people have they think their candidate will win or it will win. It's therapeutic. If you are there, it was counted, and your candidate lost fairly, square and fair, you will go home, you are able to live with it. But if people think it's because they've left, they were told by the police to leave, and then the police force that is very notorious, that even this recent OPC demonstration in Lagos, the police and soldiers were guarding those who were carrying guns in public, whereas they should have confiscated it, carrying weapons in public. Is it the same police force that will come and protect those ballot boxes when the people have left? There is a crisis of confidence. The way we have politicized the Nigerian police force is not helpful to anybody. They have not been able to carry out their job, impartially. That is why people are calling for state police. We are in a federation, so that there is a counter force to what is currently going on. If you look at INEC, from INEC's viewpoint, INEC wants credibility. They want people to have trust and confidence in the whole electoral process. And what that means, and also to accept the result of the election. And what that means is, if people can see those results counted, and they feel that whatever results they are declaring is a true reflection, of the voting, that there will be peace, there will be credibility. With time, we will rebuild trust in the system, while at the same time, we look at what do we do with the Nigerian police force, particularly the current leadership. How do we build a new leadership that will immune itself from politics, but serve strictly the interest of the public, and steer clear of them, of politicians? So, these are the real issues. People can say that, look, people should go home to do what? When at the end of the day, we have always been witnessing violence. The only 2 elections conducted that we've never seen violence are the ones where people actually stayed and saw the result counted. That's Ekiti and Osun. And that is why people are saying that should be the case. And that is why people are saying, look, if that is the solution, that people will know that my candidate lost, fair and square, then let them wait.
Let's look at the recent statistics as released by INEC. 56.4 million out of 68.8 registered voters have been able to collect their PVCs. That represent 81, percent thereabout of the total registered voters. But there's still a 12.4 million deficit. Would you?
Like us.
Are you comfortable with that?
Myself, I'm one of them. I don't have my PVC. You see, the truth is this: the kind of politics we play, I think we'll get there. Maybe our children. In our own case, somebody openly told me he saw my card. In my neighborhood, they know what I do and they know me. So certain persons will say, look, I'm not comfortable, just my vote. They denied me. And I called, I went back and over. They said, but somebody saw your card. Where's my card? It's unfortunate. That's the situation. You see, I think INEC agreed to shift the date to 28. But it was funny when, as at the 10th or so, INEC was telling us they were ready for elections. We all saw what is happening in Ogun State now. It's unfortunate. And even up till now, we pray the elections come. I think it's not peculiar to INEC or the presidency. All of us Nigerians, we must start to learn to appreciate one another and have that high level of passion and patriotism to Nigeria as a state. We are the only hope for the black race in the world. I like.
Yeah, we are.
Well, I know you to come abroad.
Yes, we are.
Now we be the real Nigerians.
That's
we
right.
Speak the pidgin
That's
English.
right.
So we must learn to tolerate. 4 years is just there for one man to serve and then go away. You just put him out if he's not doing. Like now he's performing. That's the problem. He will say he's not performing. I will say he's performing. And like.
Oh yes, I don't accept the president's performance. Yeah.
Some of us were born in Mushi, grew up in Joro school in the Agege. You can't be people that go out and come.
PRESIDOR, you were in Lagos. You and I were in Lagos when Mr. President came in the last election. I can only look at my own environment and then comment.
True.
Mr. President told and promised to reconstruct or resurface the road from the airport, Murtala Mohammed. You remember, he also promised Apapa to Oshodi Expressway. Both roads till today remain the same. So what has been achieved? Then for me, what I look around is what has this government contributed, to my own local environment. I can't point to anything in Lagos. I went to Osun State. In the whole of Osun State, there is not one thing, including road. I'm sorry, in the whole of Osun State. When you come to Ogun State, what they can point to is only Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, which is under construction. Apart from that, nothing. When you look at what the governor in Ogun State has done, it's wonderful with the roads. Compared to what the federal government is doing, then you ask yourself, what is this about? Go to your state, there's nothing. Even in Lagos, there's nothing. And whereas, yes, but whereas, PRESIDOR, but if you now look at the facts, there is a law that says, you will see where I'm coming from. There is a law that says federal character. That is, everything, we live in a federation, you must distribute all amenities fairly. Abi? Now, when you take account of the fact that the federal government collects 52% of the revenue, and then the states, all the 36 states, collects 26% of the revenue, and then we can see what the states are doing with their own resources, even though the states has more bureaucracy than federal, and then you even appropriate that 26% and say, okay, look, let the federal government use that to pay salary. What do they do with the remaining 26% for capital? The remaining 26% capital under federal character rule must be distributed across all states, fairly. Okay. So I then ask myself, where is the fair share of that money in Lagos, Ogun, Oyo, Ondo, Ekiti, and all that?
When you say federal government, it embraces the legislative arm, the executive,
yes.
And then you have our, don't forget, constituency projects being handled by the legislators.
What
in
is
the National Assembly? And it's part of the budget. Where are those things now reflecting in these states you are talking about? These constituency projects handled by the opposition party members in the House.
The constituency project?
Yes.
Look, it's when you talk about...
And again, in every budget, you draw programs. The House discuss it and approve it. So it boils down to say, people sit down and close their eyes when issues concerning their areas have been... Otherwise, you raise it up. My area is being marginalized or neglected. Are we had a case like that? Have we seen a legislator who comes out to say, look, I've not been given my allowance and no constituency project in my community?
Gentlemen, I feel like...
So it's me and you, Tino. Me and you.
I feel like I can just stand up and allow you to continue the conversation, but let's open the phone lines and find out what the viewers have to say. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
What's your name and where are you calling from?
Fortune, I'm calling from Port Harcourt.
Fortune, please go ahead with your contribution from Port Harcourt. Fortune, we are with you. Please go ahead.
Yes, I want to contribute on the issue you raised that has to do with the deputy governor that comes
from
APC to PDP. So,
Go ahead, please. Fortune, are you there?
hello?
Go ahead. Well, with you, please.
So, yeah, so it is a welcome development in River State as to what is said, because like what, if you can see in his address, he really made mention of so much of propaganda. What we have, or what we have in River State as to what the governor mostly always say, it is sheer propaganda. The whole of River State is purely PDP. It is just the issue of, I don't know whether it was just an issue of his own echo as to what the relationship that went south with him and the president. Otherwise, I mean, the whole of River State, it's purely PDP. And that is what River State is all about. From all of us here, we don't really understand what is his own action that has to do with all that. Thank you, my brother.
Oh, that's the opinion of one caller. Can we go to sleep over that?
It tallies with my position.
Well, the results of the election.
I'm from there.
Well, the results of the election will bear it out.
Governor Amechi performed tremendously that first time. It was everybody's choice. But suddenly, I must be frank, the way we play politics and the opposition style, I think we need to...
PRESIDOR,
yes.
PRESIDOR, you must remember one thing, that the results...
He has made Port Harcourt the cover of APC every time, mega rally. Nothing is happening today again. A serving governor being a campaign director.
PRESIDOR.
To a presidential candidate.
PRESIDOR.
He has abandoned the state.
PRESIDOR, same thing, the president has abandoned the country.
How?
You can say the same thing.
This is campaign time.
Governance stopped a year before. But PRESIDOR, you need to understand one thing. Let me remind you of one thing. 2 states are notorious in this country for having, results that are questionable.
Yes.
Almost 100%, 90, 100%, voters. River State and Anambra State. So those 2 states, when it comes to people declaring this one is purely PDP, it is almost impossible for any state in this country that you have everybody thinking PDP or thinking APC alone. It's almost impossible. The issue is this. I remembered what Amechi said. Amechi said, look, we know how the result was being delivered in the past, and that will not happen anymore. So I'm beginning to ask, yes, how the results were being delivered to the center. So I'm beginning to ask myself that, is this a case of there's a crack in the house and it may almost be impossible to get that 100%. Don't forget that if all Buhari needs is 25%.
Gentlemen, let me just quickly drag you into this. It's quite controversial, but since it's evident that you both are not on the same side, let's start with Northwest.
We are friends.
We are on common side.
Politically, you are not. Just a minute. Northwest has the highest number of eligible voters for this election. It's put at 18,900,548. We have Jigawa, Kano, Katsina, Kaduna, Kebbi, Sokoto, Zamfara. You came with the issue of ethnic bias. Do you see Jonathan winning this geopolitical zone?
But you see, sometimes when we argue, we tend to forget the basics. The government of Jonathan, who forms the bulk? You think a typical Nigerian will never leave the known to unknown? You have a vice president, you have ministers, and they belong to particular areas. You think they want to leave the known to unknown? I'm wondering, you mean the vice president have influence in this area, and the vice president? You think the ministers we have, the leaders of the parties from that area, don't have any influence about their people? It's funny. It's funny. If you can control your area, so too can. And that's where we're thinking that people should start looking at these issues factually.
Do you see it as a walkover for the APC in this region? 18 million votes.
For where?
In the Northwest.
In the Northwest. There's no doubt Buhari is a major factor, is a pull factor in the Northwest. It's almost like a cult-like, following. For reasons which are explicable. People, rightly or wrongly, believe in the Northwest that this is a candidate who is not corrupt and who is above board. Rightly or wrongly, that is what the people believe, and that is the truth. So when you look at the Northwest with 18 million votes, I can see Buhari, Jonathan will be lucky to have 25% from Northwest.
Wow.
Out of that vote.
And that's a landslide, isn't it?
I'm happy. His name is Good Luck. I decided you'll be lucky. But I expect you to have asked about the Northeast, where even the PVCs were collected more than Lagos, where is our relative peace?
We were going to get there. Let me just follow up with the
I wonder how
with the next number. This is Southwest.
Mm.
Southwest has 14,298,356. We have Lagos, Ogun, Osun, Ondo, Ekiti, Oyo, except for Ekiti State that was won by the PDP in the last election, and Ondo State now that has decamped to the PDP. Looks as if APC has more states. What are your predictions for this region of the country?
No, it's going to be 50-50. If not for the media.
Given the fact that PDP has even relocated its headquarters to Lagos now. Mr. President has been visiting several.
The media hub is here.
I see.
All the television houses and the print media. So we have to use the advantage of this.
Do you go with 50-50? OPC had a rally. We saw hundreds of people following them. Isn't that quite scary for the APC?
I don't even accept the 50-50. Some of the Shopee boys in K2 were part of the said OPC. The leadership of OPC, the field commanders themselves have come out to say, look, Ghana is on his own, he's doing business. Same thing, fashion. Look, it's unfortunate that they're taking advantage of our president, good luck. These guys are harvesting billions in dollars, you know, and walking away with it. In reality, do they control the grassroots? Those who control the grassroots are not with them. When you now ask yourself, go to any neighborhood and then ask them about OPC, are you in support of OPC's march? The thing backfired. You know, at the end of the day, many people were so appalled that people can be carrying guns openly on the streets of Lagos, being protected, you know, by the security forces. I don't go with 50-50 because it's almost impossible when you look at the readings. Even Ekiti now, they're likely going to lose Ekiti. Ondo is not certain, but Lagos, Ogun, Oyo, Osun, Ekiti will go for APC, in my view. Ondo is still 50-50, is not certain. Amazingly,
Northeast, ravaged by Boko Haram, comes third on this chart with 10,038,119 votes. Prior to the February 14 election, actually, some states in Northeast had the highest PVC collection rate. That raised some eyebrows, and there's many were of the opinion that how come people in this area, the same reasons why elections were postponed, you know,
in what area,
you know, are getting the PVC. Now, also considering that Borno, you know, appears to be the state with the highest number of PVC collected, you know, the highest registered voters in that region. What are your thoughts, you know, from the Northeast?
You see, when we were young, maybe they've changed the psyche now. So anything can happen here. Anything can happen in Nigeria. Because we start to wonder. If just recently we are recapturing some of the communities seized by Boko Haram, and then we now ask, where were these people? The displaced persons that were getting their PVCs, while free citizens like us could not get our own? I don't have a PVC. It speaks volume, but it seems that we must go ahead. We must pass this stage. It's unfortunate. I think INEC, I'm sorry I have to use this word, INEC compromised in certain things.
Are you sensing foul play?
No, not foul, good.
There were propaganda. There were propaganda reports that underage people were allowed to collect PVCs in those areas.
In Northeast.
In Northeast.
Each part of the country has its own peculiarities in terms of things we query. You know, we have that. Things we've not been able to verify, we have that. But that much said, the issue of why so many people, you know, are able to collect their PVCs in time could partly, I'm not saying wholly, partly be attributed also to the fact that INEC initially was under pressure over IDPs, the internally displaced people. They went to the camp, they tried to get those PVCs to them, so they facilitated that process. But that on its own will not explain, you know, the percentage. It can only, it should only show that they have an improved performance, but it shouldn't only explain that.
You know, the Nigerian military also claims to have recaptured many of the towns, you know, formerly under the Boko Haram group. Do you see that impacting on the decision-making quality of the people this time around, probably for the PDP, since everyone across political divide are already celebrating the success of the regional force?
Yes, one must congratulate the Nigerian army, the Chadian army, and the Nigerian, that's the Niger Republic army,
and the
what they've been able to
And the
achieve.
presidency.
I will stop short of congratulating the presidency because it's coming too late. If this can be done, why did the president allow so many thousands of Nigerians to be killed? If in reality the president can do this, why did he wait till 6 weeks to the election to now say, look, I want to postpone it, I now want to deal with the issue?
Well, it's coming before elections.
That's what I'm saying. Look, the president has the resources to deal with this problem before now. I listened to a speech where the president said, well, we didn't take them so seriously, the BBC interview. Oh, we didn't take it, we thought, we didn't know they are well armed. When the whole world was warning them, when the governor of Borno State, Chetima, made it very clear that Boko Haram was better armed than Nigerian soldiers, we did nothing. So after 6 weeks, when it became clear, 6 weeks to the election, towards the election, that the president would lose, then they now decided, because security is a major issue, now let us deal with the issue. What happens to thousands of lives that have been lost? That is why I will not give it to the president. I will give it to Nigerian soldiers. You know, the Nigerian and the Chadian soldiers. Anyway, but in reality, I think APC is expected to win the Northeast.
We have to wrap up, so let's just quickly go to South because I'm sure you'll be more comfortable there.
I forget that. Now carry over.
That's
Now carry over.
We have 8,937,057 votes, but bear in mind that Edo State is there, right?
Leave matter
Rivers is there.
Leave matter.
May I leave matter?
For Matthias.
But we have Delta, Bayelsa, Akwa Ibom, and Cross Rivers.
See. Let's confine ourselves first to the south because you're going to southeast. I tell you, we have come a long way. I use the local palace. It don't tell, we don't get sense. A local palace. You see, the 60s in the south will never be fooled. We want to play Nigeria, so we're going to give it to somebody who have seen transformation, and it's Mr. President.
Let me take your final opinion on this. I have to wrap up the show now.
No, go southeast.
We'll do that tomorrow.
Yeah.
South-South.
On South-South, I can see what Buhari does not really need to win the South-South. All he needs is 25%. If he can get 25%, you know, in 2 or 3 states in South-South, his own coast and dry, Edo, Rivers, and possibly 1 state, that would be enough.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, for finding time to join us today. I've been speaking with Governor PRESIDOR and BIODUN SOWUNMI. It's always a pleasure to have you join us on Call Digest. Well, the opposition has never won presidential elections since the democratic dispensation in Nigeria. It's been 15 years thereabout, but there are opinions that it's never been this tight in the opinion polls. Well, we're hopeful that elections will be conducted within a free, fair and credible atmosphere, and indeed the result of this forthcoming election will be a reflection of the true intent of the electorate. Don't forget you can watch us live from the WAWO application. It's WAWOO apps, and you can download it on any of your internet compliant devices where you can get to watch us from anywhere in the world. You can also follow us on our Twitter handles at Call Digest Live. You can watch this program yet again 12 midnight today on channel 329 on Star Times. You can watch it again on YouTube. It's www.youtube.com/CallTV. Space and news. You can also follow me on Twitter. It's Nifemi Oguntoye. That's a wrap on the show today. I'll be back tomorrow, God willing. Up until then, keep campaigning in peace ahead the election.
Morning, Mr. President. Morning, sir. How are you, Mr. President? How is the campaign?
We must learn to live together as brothers, or perish together as fools. Martin Luther King, Jr.